What's up, everybody? I'm looking this way and not this way because the screen is like right there and it's just easier for me to do. Okay, many of you know my name is Brian, or as Southerners like to say, Brian. Or if you were in my first grade Miss Corbett's class, you may have misspelled my name as Brain. I still have those. But the reason I'm making this video is basically to document and to let everybody know what's been going on, because every time I see somebody out, they're like, hey, how you been? I heard you've been having some health problems. Well, true. And I still can't answer the question. I don't even like being asked the question anymore. So I know people are just being, nice about it. Are you doing better or whatnot? It depends on the day. I know most people are used to getting like a cold or a virus or something, and in a few days, a week or two, they'll be over it. But with this, it's something a little bit different, and it's very pisses me off, to be frank. So I'll start by saying that in 2013 is when it all started. The first episode that I had been outside doing some yard work, and when I went in the house, I hit my knee on a deep freeze, and I kind of looked over to make sure it wasn't bleeding or anything because I hit it pretty hard. And when I stood back up straight, like the room was spinning, and I was like, this is a pretty messed up situation I got going on here, and something's not right. So I sat down at the table and turned the air on because I was shaking and sweating and spinning. I would have hit the floor if I hadn't sat down. But that lasted for what seemed like forever, but I'm sure it was only maybe a minute or two. I don't know, maybe less than that. But when that ended, I was pretty shaken up. And after that, my senses were real heightened. Is like my vision was, everything was brighter than what it was supposed to be. Everything was louder than what it was supposed to be. And to be honest, I thought I'd had a stroke. But looking back now, obviously that was not the case. I didn't go to the doctor that day. I don't know why. I just didn't go, but those senses being elevated, like I described, that lasted for about a week, and then it went away. So I was like, well, whatever that was came and went. Okay, I can get back to normal life and everything. And 2 days later, I was driving. I was on my way to Jasper. Some of you know where that's at, some of you don't. It's about 30 minutes from where I live, and I just felt like I wasn't breathing right. It was like it was tight, and I kind of compared it to if you were breathing through a straw that had holes in it. And does that make any sense? Because like when you're drinking through a straw and it has holes in it, you're not getting all of what you're trying to drink. So it's like if you're breathing through the straw and it has holes in it, it feels like you're not getting all the air. So that's how I kind of describe it. And that started happening, and my heart rate went up, and I got real shaky, and it seemed like I got pale because I was looking at myself in the mirror because I knew something was going on. And I finally made it back home, and I went to the doctor. My primary doctor, and he was like, you probably had a reaction or something to your blood pressure medication because I was on blood pressure meds, and I was like, okay, well, they put me on more blood pressure medication, and I just knew something wasn't right. So a few days later, I ended up in the emergency room with another one of those spells, and I had CT scans done of my head and my chest, and they put the dye in to make sure I didn't have a blood clot in my lungs or something going on up here. Everything was good, but the symptoms persisted. Nothing was, they come and go. They're not with me all the time. And it's been that way ever since 2013. It's like a day at a time. Today I may be fine, tomorrow I might not be, but it's just, those symptoms persist, and those symptoms are mainly the breathing issue where, it just feels weird. Something like, I don't know, something's not right. And heat and cold sensitivity. If I'm out in the heat very long or in the sun, it really does something. It's hard to describe, but it makes me itchy. My heart will start racing, and it's kind of like a panicky issue, or what they say is like a panic attack. And I've had those. I started having those after all this started happening, so that's another thing that I've been having trouble with, but I've been okay for a little bit. And I get a wavy, off-balance feeling. It's vertigo. I have that. I have flushing of the neck and the head and the back. And it's like an internal heat feeling where it's, I don't even know. I don't know what it is. I have premature ventricular contractions of the heart. It's pretty common. Everybody pretty much has them. But it's like you feel like an extra beat in there, or what seems like an extra beat, and or like a fluttery, I don't know, like it actually feels like your heart is twitching for a very short period of time. If I go from laying down to standing up, I'll have like weird pressures come up in my chest and head, and I don't know, it's just a weird pressure, and that's not all the time, but it also happens if I stretch. If I stretch out real good, I'll get some kind of weird pressure. I don't know, but those are the symptoms, and it all goes back to 2013, and it sucked. But fast forward to 2014, that summer I was okay, and there I was again thinking, it's gone, whatever it is, went away and I'm fine now. Well, that wasn't the case, because it came back again and at the end of 2014, and 2015 is when the panic attacks really started. I don't know, I didn't have many that year, I don't guess. It was a few, but it was different, and they were coming out of nowhere. It's like hyperventilating, and it's not fun at all. So in 2015, I started recording my recent album with the band, and I made it through it pretty good. I'm not saying I didn't have issues while recording it. I just toughed it out because it's something that I was wanting to do really bad. And I'd already quit playing live. I can't play live anymore. So basically what I do is I write, arrange, and record. And I'm just glad I can still manage to do that part of it. I don't care if I don't really play live. I didn't much enjoy it anyways. 2016, my I got insurance. It was a lot better than what I'd had before, and they wouldn't approve of some of the tests, so I really took advantage of it in 2016. So I started off with a heart doctor, and what he found was I had a blood abnormality where my red blood cells, hemoglobin, and hematocrit were all like elevated. So, he did my heart checkout stuff and all that, and he was like, everything looks good. You don't really have a heart issue. And he said that the skip beats were benign. There's no reason to be concerned about them, but they're scary. They're really scary. So he sent me to a hematologist. So here we go down the weird blood abnormality road, and I think it was like the second visit on the hematologist that he was like, your kidney, there's something weird about your kidney because your level is pretty high, and it shouldn't be that high on somebody your age. So when they sent me for a ultrasound on my kidney, that was on a Friday, and everything happened on a Friday, and it left me hanging over the weekend, worrying about, what's going on. But it happened on a Friday, and they called me back that afternoon. They said, we want to see you Monday. It appears that one of your kidneys is a lot smaller than the other one. So it freaked me out. I thought like one of my kidneys had failed, or I don't know, something like that. And the next Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember what it was, I went back for a regular CT scan on the kidney. So I go in there, and she rolls me in that thing, and they scan a picture, and then she pulls me out, and she was like, do you have both kidneys? And I said, yes, I'm supposed to have both kidneys. And I knew something was up then, because they're not just going to ask you. And I asked her, I was like, why, is something wrong? Oh no, I'm just wondering what we're having the test for. Well, obviously you're scanning my kidneys. That's what the test was for. Why did you ask me if I have both of them? Anyways, come to find out, after they reviewed that, he said that, well, actually he came in the room. It was a day or two later. He was like, you have a really rare condition where both of your kidneys are on one side. And I was like, okay. And I'm all messed up because I didn't know if it was going to require surgery, or if I didn't know what was going on. So he said he thought that everything was going to be fine. So we went into investigating my kidneys, because we thought the kidneys was going to be like compressed since they're sitting on top of each other. Like maybe a blood vessel is compressed and it's causing the blood to be weird, which would be causing all the symptoms that I was having. So I had to go through, I don't remember what, it was like some other kind of flow test. And then I went through an arteriogram, which was the scariest day of my life. And they went ahead and checked my heart arteries too while they were in there, and since I've been having all these issues. And well, the arteriogram turned out fine. The blood flow was good to my kidneys. It was good to my heart. I just had a weird, my kidneys are just weird. They're sitting on top of each other on the right side. I don't have one on the left side. So it was kind of a dead end, I guess. So here I go to the neurologist, because I'm having the neurological issues too, the vertigo, the ringing in the ears, muscle twitches. But when I went there, he said my creatine kinase was high, which it wasn't really too high. But he sent me to UAB for neuromuscular test. like ALS and the dystrophies and all that stuff. So here I go again, undergoing a bunch of tests, MRIs, you know. But again, all that turned out good. You know, there's nothing turning up. So, and after all that happened, I had this little place on my eye that came up, and it stayed there for, I know, about 8 months. So I finally decided to go to the doctor and ask him what that thing was doing hanging out there for so long. And he was like, it looks like a basal cell cancer. So I was like, I doubt it, but it might be. So I went to have a biopsy on it, and that's what it was. So I had to have that removed. And to see, the thing about that was, you have this stuff called erythropoietin, and like cancers and tumors put that out if it's in your body. And so I was thinking, well, possibly the basal cell was putting off the EPO, which was causing my red blood cells and hemoglobin and hematocrit to be high too. Well, it turned out that wasn't the case either. So, you know, I don't know. There was just nothing there, and everything, you know, everything I had, I'm having the symptoms, but when you go into investigating, it's just, there's nothing there to tell me why it's happening. You know, I've been diagnosed with dysautonomia. There's no test done. That was the first thing the first cardiologist I ever saw told me. Basing it on my symptoms, he was like, you have dysautonomia and you need to drink more water and add a lot of salt to your food and, you know, intake electrolytes and all that stuff. Because there's not much they can do for it. You know, there's not much. And they heard a mitral valve click on a stethoscope once, never showed up on the echoes. You know, they have the cross-fused renal ectopia, which is the two kidneys on one side. I mean, there's the secondary polycythemia, which is the red blood cells, hematocrit, and hemoglobin. That's just, you know, high. And several things can cause that, like, but it's everything that I don't do. You know, I don't smoke. I don't live at a high altitude. Sleep apnea can cause it, and that is a possibility. But I had 2 of those tests, and they were like inconclusive. So it is possible for that. You know, and that, you know, that's what I've been diagnosed with. 2 of the doctors have said it's like a form of dysautonomia. Well, actually, if you count the first one, that's 3 doctors that said it's dysautonomia, and 2 of them said it's hyperadrenergic POTS. Yeah. But as far as how many doctors I've seen, I know a lot of people go through seeing so many doctors before they're like diagnosed with whatever's causing their symptoms. But I've had 2 primary doctors. I can't even count the number of emergency room visits. 3 cardiologists, 2 hematologists, 2 pulmonary doctors, 2 kidney doctors, 2 asthma and allergy doctors, 2 ENTs, 4 neurologists, 1 gastro whatever they are, 1 infectious disease doctor, 1 endocrinologist, 1 psychiatrist, 1 vein specialist, and 1 sleep doctor. Yeah, that's what, like 20 something doctors. And it sucks. It's sad, it's depressing, but just a little bit more. I've had like every test. All these tests, right here, those are like the out of the ordinary tests that they've done. You know, we've suspected a pheochromocytoma, myasthenia gravis. You know, I also found out I have bulging disc in my neck. A few, not just one, a few. We've ruled out ALS and the dystrophies. And I figured out I have weird kidneys. So, really, I've not found out anything. It's just, you might have this, you might have this. It kind of sounds like this. I don't think you have that, but it could be. You know, but where I'm at now is my blood issue. Is the blood issue what's causing all the symptoms? And the other day I had a phlebotomy. I gotta have 2 more, I think. He said there's only one way to figure out if that's what's causing them. to draw the blood off and get the numbers, which they're not crazy high. They're just, it's not where they're supposed to be. And he said it could be like a mild form of sleep apnea that causes it. But it could also be that I've got two issues going on, which is the blood issue and what's causing all the symptoms. So that's where we're at. And another crazy thing about it was I thought everything happened in 2013. Like, I know the symptoms started then, but I also thought maybe my blood messed up then too. Like, whatever happened to me on that day messed up the way my blood is. But that was not the case, and I just found this out a few weeks ago when I got some old blood records from 2008 and 2011, and my blood numbers were high then, and nobody even mentioned it to me. So I was kind of disappointed at the doctor I was using then. Why didn't you tell me I had this going on back then, so I could have, maybe checked it out earlier. I go for, I have more tests scheduled for this year. It just takes a while to get in at UAB, and I think that about covers everything that I wanted to say in this video. I know a lot of people's going through the same thing, and it's kind of looked down upon when somebody my age or younger has issues, and I'm not gonna sit here and call it like a disability, but it has limited what I can do, and I'm not even gonna start on the politics. Those of you that know me really know that I want to tear into it, but I'm not going to. But there's a stigma in this country. If you say something's wrong with you, you better be able to show it. Be in a wheelchair, be bedridden, be missing limbs and stuff like that. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's like that meme that goes around on the internet. Everybody's fighting a battle that, you can't see, so be nice. Just be nice to everybody and quit being stupid. Because in 2012, I was having the time of my life going around the United States playing shows with the band. And we came home to take some time off, and in May of 2013 all this started happening, and I haven't played a show since. It's weird to think about, but even though I didn't like playing live that much, I like meeting the people, and I like, obviously playing, but I don't like playing live, but I miss it now. And it's a goal of mine to play one more show at least. But it's not going to stop me from writing and recording. So as long as I'm able to, that's what I'll be doing. So you can check out, if you want to check out my music, you can do that. It's you can just Google The Dirty Clergy. And I'll probably make more videos about everything. That's all I have for you now. If you've managed to watch this whole video, I appreciate it. So, and for my friends that is like, where's Brian? Why don't he ever hardly come out anymore? It's hard to describe, and I just tried to describe it all. You go from living basically the way I was in 2012, doing this and that all the time, and you go from that to day to day, well, I feel okay today, but tomorrow I might not, which I don't guess that's a bad way to live if you look at it, think about it. I just take it a day at a time, but that's all that I have to say.